and we have some very experienced people on this team that have a lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom. And Dr. Comrie, where are you?
I'm here.
You're here, fantastic. Okay, I'm just trying to find you on my screen. Well, we can hear you.
There I am. I've arrived.
Oh, there you are. Okay, now I don't know what you're sharing tonight, but I know Dr. Andre Comrie is always a fountain of information. So get your notepads out, get your pens out. This will be some information that will grow you as a near-life distributor. Take it away, Andre.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. Every now and again, it seems as if the connectivity isn't fabulous, Drew, so I hope over the recent, I suppose, I have been coming across more and more people who are suffering from depression and anxiety and those kinds of mental ailments. And so I started exploring about that. And one of the people that I really like to follow is a doctor called Kelly Brogan. And the reason I like to follow her is that she is a qualified psychiatrist, and she's a lot of treating these mental ailments with medicinal drugs. And then she herself fell ill with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune disease. And she discovered she had never been really sick in her life. And she discovered that the medicinal route was not her. So she started looking for some other way of curing herself, and the things that she found were most helpful for her were looking after her diet and her supplementation and so on. And she turned her life around. So she went from being a patient to a fully healthy human being again. And when that happened for her, she decided to look into the possibility that the best way of initially dealing with people coming to her practice for depression might in fact same route, that is looking at diet, looking at lifestyle. And she has in fact unearthed all sorts of information from the research and also from her own work to say that that is absolutely true. Now, everyone who's listening, please be aware that we are not able to diagnose, we are not able to prescribe, and it's not our job. But if someone is coming to us and they are talking about situations like depression, anxiety, and those sorts of things, what we can suggest to them is that a first line of attack is to look at their lifestyles, and that if they deal with that, they might well avoid going the medical route. And once you are on the psychiatric drugs, it's actually very, very difficult to come off them. And so it's a good thing to try first if you remedy the situation in that way. So she came up with 5 rules for eating away your depression. And the first one, she calls it avoiding your trigger foods. Obviously, foods which trip you up into a state of depression. And really what they are foods that cause inflammation in the gut. And so you remove foods like all the refined foods, the processed foods, and so on. Those are the trigger foods. And if you get them out of your diet, you will probably be able to reset your body into a well-functioning, non-depressed state. She also says that you have to stick to that for at least 30 days. It takes at least that long to cleanse your body, detox your body, and reset it for health. And only then can you, one by one, try these foods that you have removed and see if they upset you. And if they do, then you know you must never take them again. The next thing she suggested is that organic. And the reason she says that is that foods that are produced
Andre?
And it is also probably have a greater amount of the nutritional components that we're supposed to be getting from our foods, because big agriculture uses chemical fertilizers to feed the ground to crops, and they don't always put into the ground the stuff that the animals need to get from the plants, and that it appears the plants themselves don't need for growing. And so minerals are often depleted in soil that is grown repeatedly in the same ground and using chemical fertilizers. And then she says you've got to make into deficiencies, and the only way in which you can really do that is to supplement. And this is, of course, where we can offer some additional help. So some of the things that really need to be supplemented, particularly vitamin B12, but I suggest that that may not be because the other vitamin Bs are not important, but the way in which research works is to components and really just test one and not the whole lot. So vitamin B12 we know is important. It's very difficult to get enough in a Western diet, and so it's important to supplement. And that is why you hear of people give injections. I suggest that our vitamin B is very important to take. It's important to take on an ongoing basis. And we also know alphabet. The vitamin B is a whole family of vitamin Bs, and your body won't absorb large amounts of one if they aren't all there. I always like to use the if you're playing Scrabble in the English language, you've got lots of E's and I's and O's and U's, and you've got very few Z's and J's and those sorts of letters. And the reason is more of the vowels than the consonants. And so the same is true of the vitamin Bs. So if you run out of vowels, you can't possibly make any words at all. So if you run out of one of the components, you won't. The second thing that she mentions is a couple of minerals. One is magnesium. We know magnesium is important. That's why it's present in our CalMag. And so we've got a really good quantities, which is CalMag. And it's, of course, also present in the multivitamin and in the multimineral. If people are short of magnesium, they will go zinc. So we've got zinc on its own. Also got zinc in the multivit and in the multimineral. Find that zinc is very often found at the same time as you get a psychiatric diagnosis. It's important for all sorts of things because it's engaged in very many of the biochemical reactions that we need in our body. And then our old favorite, the essential fatty acids, namely the omega-3s, especially DHA for the brain. The human brain is 60% fat. Most of it is DHA from the omega-3. And we know that we do not get enough of that. And so that's absolutely essential. I believe that every human being ought to be taking omega. And the other thing we know about omega-3s is that they are anti-inflammatory. The problem with low-grade inflammation is that it causes all sorts of ill health, a lot of the autoimmune diseases, but it is very strong to mental disease and depression. So we need omega-3 both as a structural component for our brain and also as the anti-inflammatory. Super important. And if people are not taking omega-3, then they can't expect to get well from depression. And then the fourth thing is our other favorite, and that is to take care of the microbiome, which is our acid. There is more information going from the gut to the brain than in the other direction. They used to think that mental, like depression, caused the gut ailments. That's the gut ailments that cause the depression.
Andre?
So we have to make sure that, yes?
Andre, sorry, can you just start at point 4 again? You cut out there for a second, and I lost the key part of that.
Okay. It's out that the microbes in your gut are in good condition. More signaling goes, more messages go from the gut to the brain than in the opposite direction. And if the gut is in, the brain receives distress signals. And one of the things it does is to go into depression and other psychiatric complaints, as well as all the other things. So an important and essential treatment as part of a depression treatment is to correct the gut biome. So there's another place where we can supplements to restore the beneficial gut and the bacteria in the gut rather. And then the fifth one is not about diet, but it is, it's kind of part of our overall message. One needs to learn to eat consciously. We've got to stop eating on the hoof. We've got to stop having our sandwich at our desk and we working on our computer and we eating our sandwich at the same. We need to take a break. We need to sit with or ourselves alone, but we need to enjoy the food. We need to chew it well. We need to digest it well. We need to savor the food and we need to smell it and enjoy it. And in doing that, is that you start to salivate. And saliva is the essential first process during the digestion process. And if your saliva, if you aren't giving your mouth enough time to process, your food isn't properly digested. And that then moves down into the system and you've just got poorly digested food and poor access to the nutrients in that food. And including, if you eat consciously, if you savor the food, then you can build a sense of gratitude for the fact that that your food tastes delicious, that your food is an essential part of your health. And know that that gratitude is an essential thing for our well-being, our mental well-being. We can have some gratitude for the journey that the food took from the farm to our plate. There's all who do things that contribute to the fact that we have food. And when we do that, our food is more nourishing than if we don't pay attention to it and be grateful for it. So there we are. Those people advise people to bring into their lives to prevent depression, preferably, but if they are already suffering from it, to increase the likelihood that they will be that disease, even if they do have to go into taking some of the drugs. I hope that's helpful and another way in which we can be of use to our community, make a difference.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you, Andre. I really appreciate that. You guys learned something from that.
Great.
I know, I think depression is probably one of the biggest challenges, health challenges people are facing these days. And I think that
is enormous.
Yeah, it's a growing challenge. And that's information right there that probably will be of value to somebody that you know, or somebody that you know that they know. And so I've recorded that. I will isolate that. I know Andre's signal broke up at certain points, but I think we can take the information away from that session. So thank you very much, Andre.